Welcome to the Grappling with Weights podcast. Today's conversation is important, not because it's controversial, but because it's overdue. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has given many of us discipline, confidence, healing, and purpose. But any culture built on hierarchy, physical contact, and trust, and admiration also carries responsibility. We're not here to attack Jiu-Jitsu, we're here to protect it. Today is a roundtable conversation about culture, accountability, and the safety of women on the mats. We'll talk honestly about what works, what fails, and what must change without speculation, without mob mentality, and without silence. My hope is very simple that women listening know what they should expect, that coaches leave with clear understanding, and that teammates understand their roles. Strong culture doesn't fear accountability, it's built on it. And before we begin, today's discussion focuses on cultural patterns, lived experiences, and safeguarding responsibilities within Jiu-Jitsu. We are not here to determine guilt or replace legal processes. We are here to talk about safety, accountability, and how gym culture can either protect people or fail them. So I'm going to just give this a real quick breakdown. The women will answer first. I'll synthesize and move forward. Remember, permission over pressure, patterns over details, and no graphic storytelling unless it's absolutely necessary. So segment number one, we're going to call it What Safety Actually Means, and this is open to the panel. Before we talk about harm, what does feeling safe in a jiu-jitsu gym actually mean? Women first. Let's do that. How about that? Before we talk about harm, what does feeling safe in a jiu-jitsu gym actually mean?
I think from my personal perspective, feeling safe is when we've rolled on the mats with people who could potentially destroy you, or maybe someone who's newer, bigger, and could show a lot of aggression, but chooses to roll carefully with you. I think safety is based on, I mean, that's just how I feel safe when I'm on the mats, when I'm rolling with someone, and I've rolled with multiple people. And regardless of skill level, I feel like I'm being respected and not like there's some sort of aggression or vendetta or whatever. It's just how I feel safe.
Yeah, and to me, I think it's a matter of the ecosystem that is created, right? Anyone who enters the environment, whether woman, man, child, teenager, right? How well they are supported and held within that space. Um, you know, um, and it is a felt experience in their own nervous systems where they can, yeah. Um, show up as their vulnerable selves because jujitsu does attract people who are vulnerable, who want to get stronger, who want to get empowered, who are there for various reasons, right? And it's a safe space for them to be exactly as they are at whatever level that they are, and you know have the appropriate support and help that they might need to get to where they want to be as far as empowering themselves.
So when somebody comes to the door, so let's talk about your first experiences in a jiu-jitsu academy. When you walk through the door, before you even get on the mat to feel safe with someone that you're training with, what made you feel there was a safe place? Because we always talk about, like, you always see this thing on online about, like, oh, our gym has good vibes, but good vibes don't stop bad things from happening. So for you two, what was your experience like? You walk in the door, you meet your professor, you meet the coach for the first time. What was it that said this is a safe place for me to come back and actually now try the class? Was there a moment? Was there an experience? Was somebody else there that you knew? Talk about that. What was that like for you guys?
For me, my first ever academy that I joined, it was owned by a woman. So
Really?
that's a huge
This
that
was
was
this was where?
in Singapore.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a gym called Trifecta Academy.
Was it a women's only gym?
It wasn't a women's only gym; it was a GFT like
Really?
affiliated gym.
Okay.
But the owner was it. Well, the gym isn't there anymore, but the owner was a woman, and that in itself was like a um felt good, and there's a lot of women on the mats as well rolling. So, I already felt that kind of like resonance and safety just because other women were on the mat. Um, and I think the other part is the welcoming, right? There was no like certain way I had to look or be. You know, I didn't have to be like a competitive athlete to be welcomed into the community.
They were just happy that you were there.
They were just happy that we were there. They were just happy that I was there wanting to train, wanting to, also at the time, um, I also wanted to come in to teach strength and conditioning, so like movement as well. Yeah, so I was just like welcome with open arms. So that was really, really, that I think created a lot of safety and buy-in for me to like, yeah, these guys actually, don't just, want my membership money,
Right.
but they value me as a member of their community to also like give back as well. They value like what I bring.
Okay, good. Mariah, what was your first gym, our gym?
Yeah.
Okay, so talk about that. What made you want to stay? Like how was that experience like for
Same
you?
thing. I felt
Yeah,
welcome.
yeah.
I felt really welcome. I felt that I was cared for and checked in on regularly. How you doing? How you liking it here so far? I felt like that checking in regularly really made me feel like I was valued.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Professor, you own a gym, so what standards do you have, especially when a woman comes in, you have daughters, married? What standards are you setting for yourself and for your gym? A new prospect comes in, female comes in, you have no idea of her trauma background or of any background whatsoever. What ensures her that she has a safe place to train at CrossFit Gracie San Diego?
So when you come into my academy, we do everything structured. So everything I do has a purpose, right? So from the moment they come in and they're welcomed by everyone. So I have a team of women as well to welcome other women, to talk to them first, even before they interact with me way too much. I want them to feel comfortable, right? Because that's what happens. And so from the moment we start the class at my academy, from the bow, right? So me personally, when I first started jujitsu and stuff, I didn't like the idea of bowing because I have an ego. I'm a dude. I grew up in Texas. Like, I don't want to bow to anyone. But then I start to understand what the bow meant, and that's what I teach my students. So the moment we bow in together, you're not bowing to me. We're bowing to each other, right? We're bowing to each other as a testament that this is something we're choosing to do together as a team. It's discipline, right? It's ego friendly, right? Egos are out and we're all safe here. We're going to take care of each other. So that's what that bow means. And so I explain that to my students as they come in, that listen, this is a bow. You're not bowing to me. We're bowing to each other as a promise to take care of each other.
I love that
No
because
matter
right now
what.
we have this newer generation, or what I perceive to be a newer generation of jiu-jitsu guys that talk about, oh, if you have to wear a team gi, it's a code. If you have to bow, it's a code. And I was like, to me, that was just honoring my instructor. But I love the way you place that. We're doing this together and we're bowing to each other. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, and that's what we do to each other because we're going to protect each other. We're going to stay safe together. We're in here. We're choosing to have this discipline, when you walk into my academy, and that's the environment that I create.
Professor, anything to add here?
Yeah, so I actually have like the villain's perspective here. So I came into this martial arts as a as an MMA fighter, and in an era where it wasn't about inclusivity. Women weren't training yet. It was fighters in a gym. We didn't want weak people in the gym. Like, we actually would weed you out. It was a really terrible business model, but remember what I'm talking about, right? So it never occurred to me until very recently, in the past couple of years, to consider the idea of safety. I never had to think about my safety walking into the door.
Right.
I could already wrestle really well when I walked into a gym. So I wasn't thinking about safety. I was thinking about, I want to get good and be able to fuck everybody in here up. That was my motivation. And I think a lot of people that own schools, if you come through the competitive route, that may also be a similar mindset, is because if you've been good, right, from the jump, you've never thought about your safety. And that's not everybody's experience. And I don't think, it may not be in everybody's awareness that that's not everybody's experience. Because I know it wasn't in my awareness that that's not everybody's experience. I never had to think about it.
Sure. I think things change when you go from becoming a student to an owner, and then to a really good owner if you want to be a really good owner. I remember when I would teach classes, I would routinely put my students to sleep. Like, if you're a purple belt and above, like, if I caught your choke, you go to sleep. And then when you got your black belt from me, I had a pretty big association at the time, and we'd have like 50 black belts on the mat. And I'm like, if you get caught by a black belt, they're putting you to sleep. And we had like 2 guys that almost died, you know. And I'm when I say almost died, they almost died. And I thought to myself, you know, I don't think this is a good model as an owner. When you're coming up and you're just teaching the class, you're going from teaching the class and running a program to actually be known. I'm like, somebody dying on my mat is not going to be very safe or beneficial. And then that's when wives are coming and like, I'm like, whoa, then the internet started getting big and things like that happen. So yeah, something definitely changes when you go from becoming a student to becoming someone who teaches a class, and then also the next step of owning your own place or something like that. And then I still carried those traditions into my first 5 years, and it was cool. We had a bunch of tough guys, but I realized, just like you said, it was just a bunch of tough guys, and my mind and heart were kind of at odds with each other because all I had was tough guys. I didn't have women. I didn't have guys that really needed jiu-jitsu, and I didn't really know at that time why I was even teaching. So I think we could kind of end this segment on this, that safety isn't comfort, it's predictability. When boundaries are clear and behavior is consistent, the nervous system relaxes, learning and trust will improve. When threat detection goes down, when you walk into a place and you know that there's strict boundaries and you know what your boundaries are and you just feel safe, you're gonna be more apt to want to come in and actually train with, like you said, somebody heavier, somebody who has a different political view than you, someone who you're gonna feel safe in the confines of that place because the threat level is down. So that's really, really good. Segment number 2, women's lived experience. And this is going to be permission based only, okay, guys? So I want to ask this carefully, and you're welcome to answer generally or pass. Mariah, this is a question for you. How many gyms have you trained at over the years?
11 years I've been training. I trained at 2.
2, okay. Have you ever encountered someone who felt unsafe or creepy in a gym?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What was that like? What was that experience like? First of all, I would say, so I have this, we're going to probably take shit for this, right? Here's what I think for women. I want everybody to answer this. I think good looking dudes can get away with a lot more shit than ugly dudes. Would you say yes or no? Can we be honest here?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So with that being said, right, in this encounter with these guys, have you ever encountered someone who felt unsafe or creepy in the gym? What did that feel like to you and what did that look like to you? And was the guy good looking or was he ugly?
Oh, he was ugly.
He was ugly, okay.
I've never had the pleasure. I'm just kidding. It's always the creepy ones. So I did meet it head on. He had said something really inappropriate, and he said, "I bet you like it rough in the bedroom, don't you?"
Whoa, at our fucking gym?
Mm-hmm. And I lost my shit.
Hold on, you never told me about that.
Oh yeah, no, I kept it to it. I handled it. That's why I handled it. I squashed it. I handled that
years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he didn't say, yeah.
Okay.
I handled it.
Okay, good, mama. Good. Okay. Did you feel unsafe at the time?
No.
No. Okay.
No, I just like.
You fucking stopped that right there. Okay.
Yeah, I said I've pegged men better than you little bitch.
Nice. All right. Yeah, that's awesome. She'll probably never train with you again.
Need you, bro.
20,000 people are.
Ryder, cover your ears.
Yeah. Professor, have you felt the same experience in your life, training multiple occasions, training throughout the world? Did you ever feel unsafe? Did you ever feel like somebody creepy? We will direct you guys to go back to Professor's relationship podcast with us on how they met. But
No, honestly, I started dating him, I think, like towards the end of my white belt to blue belt. So after, I don't know, getting with Eric, I don't know, he's just been
people
my
just
force
knew,
field,
yeah.
So I
It's a
never
pretty good force
really,
for to have, Professor.
yeah, I never really experienced any of that
Yeah.
personally.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Mariah, what did your body sense before your mind had language?
Oh, I just felt creepiness. I just felt
Like that energy, that creepy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just felt like if I had met this guy at a bar or anything outside of this, I would have really not liked him.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys this. Obviously, when you're in tune with your body, you sense somebody's energy, right? I can only assume with you working at Victory or being at Victory, like one of the largest academy or places in Southern California, where you literally have maybe 1,000 students there, right? and Mariah over there with us and just traveling all over the place and stuff like that. Like, what do you do? What's your protocol? What's your specific protocol when you're on the mat and you feel like that one guy that wants to, like, you feel that energy, you know, he wants to train with you, roll with you. What are your protocols? Like, share, what are your protocols? Because some people think, especially if it's a higher belt, I have to roll with this guy, right? He's looking, I just get, right? And you feel like, many women will feel like, well, I'm new, I'm only a white belt, I'm only a blue belt, he's a brown belt, but he's giving me these vibes. What are your protocols? What are your protocols to, like, fuck you, I'm not training with you? Like, what do you guys suggest? What do you share? What are your experiences?
I think typically what happens, even for me, like if I have like a funny feeling about somebody, I think it's worth investigating that internal like kind of alarm system that we have, right? Um, and also talking to somebody about it too, right? Someone that is safe, that you can trust, either another woman or another man. I know that I kind of run things by Eric a lot because I trust him, and he's someone that I know to have integrity around these things. And sometimes also when I'm emotionally charged by a trigger, let's say that gut feeling, sometimes I don't make the best decisions when I'm emotionally like riled up as well. So having another opinion, a second opinion, third opinion, fourth opinion with somebody um, can, you know, provide extra perspective on how to rectify the situation if need be, you know.
Mariah, what response from leadership would have changed anything for you? Like when you did, well, like you didn't talk to me about it because you felt that.
I felt that I could handle it. I felt like if he had done it again, obviously I would have come to you.
Yeah.
But I just felt like this needed to be met head on at the time, and he never did it again because I made my stance very clear. So, but yeah, if it's something else that happened, absolutely I would have said
And
something.
then did that person stay with us?
Yeah,
They did.
yeah,
Are they still there now?
I think so.
Oh, we're gonna fuck that. Yeah, that's not like. Hey, we're gonna have a talk. Yeah, I thought that's
I can
all
tell
I'm
you who it
called for. I'm
is.
so glad you're fucking out of the gym when I find out who you are. Sorry, done. Yeah, I'm now mad. I'm now emotional. Professor, anything to add on that point?
No, no. Oh, actually, just a little bit. I think also, like to Azima's point, having the conversation, like when a person's resourced enough to go to a leader, having the conversation, to where it doesn't initially turn into a witch hunt, but a personal investigation of what they're experiencing. Like help the person get clear on what they're experiencing first,
Yeah.
because if you're not clear on what you're experiencing, any action taken outside that doesn't have clarity is
Yeah.
going to be clunky,
Yeah,
right?
very much so.
And
Yeah,
so
it's
I think
great.
you can really streamline the process and just make it like better for everybody involved if and this is provided that there's people there that can do that. That's
Yeah,
the thing,
yeah,
right?
that's
I
the
don't know
problem.
that every gym has people there that know how to investigate these things in the proper manner.
Yeah, let's talk about that very quickly because I had a conversation with somebody the other day about so many people will look at myself or professor or somebody else who opens up a gym and says, "Oh, I'm a better jiu-jitsu guy than that, or I'm a better instructor. I can. If he's successful, I'm going to go do that." And they never raise like their leadership lid or they never work on their EQ or anything like that, or even learn about business. And they might be a great competitor and not even a good coach or a good coach, whatever the case may be. But you see that I've experienced a lot. I've been training for just over 31 years, and I see that a lot where you have this guy who thinks, and a lot of it is just my own personal experience of guys that have seen me. I'm not a world champion, I'm not Brazilian, but at one point I had like the third biggest school in all of San Diego, and I had the biggest kids program. And people, I heard, oh, if he could do it, I can do it too. But meanwhile, in my 20 something year, we're gonna be over for 15 years this year. This is our 15th year anniversary. But like in those 15 years, I've like 10x my leadership layer. Like I'm a leadership expert now. Like I know about business, but that's a constant evolving that you have. And let's talk about that very quickly. Why do you guys feel that I'm gonna go ahead and just go on a limb and say most gyms in San Diego, the people that I know, and I'm talking about good friends, only work on their jujitsu and don't work on their business. They don't work on raising their leadership layer. They don't work on their emotional. Like we know, we've been through choice, right? So we know you can't really raise your IQ more than a few points. You can double your EQ by 50%. Like you can almost double your EQ if you work on it. Why do you guys feel, and we'll start with Professor Rafa, why do you guys feel a lot of guys that have gyms, again, just my experience, but I feel that my contention is it's almost everybody, that they don't work on these other aspects of their life. Would you say that's true, or what's your experience in that, Professor?
I think that kind of how you were introduced to it.
Yeah.
So if that's what you kind of came under, you just kind of stick with that.
Right.
You know, it doesn't matter. So like there's been times where people talked about a tradition in jiu-jitsu with running the gauntlet.
Yeah.
Right. So some people think that that's bad. You shouldn't do it. Some people want to do it. You know, it just depends. You know, and I think when you get trapped in that box,
Yeah.
right, then it's hard to kind of escape it and to evolve and then to develop and then to realize the thing you need to do. Real quick, let me touch on just something really fast, what Myra said right now. So I'm 100% on board with how she handled the situation. I didn't get a chance to speak on it because I'm a firm believer that if women, especially in this space, if they think like that, if they act like that, it'll kill a lot of situations, right? You can't let it slide. And the problem is that I've seen for certain situations that I've heard about, women let it slide.
Yeah.
But if you don't let it slide, it's done. Because if you check a man, that's what I call it, a woman checking a man, that man is going to stop, right? The problem is when you don't check them like she did, they have the tendency to keep going and going. You know, I even tell my young son that. I say, listen, son, if you ever out, because he's young.
Yeah.
If you're out with your girlfriend and the guy's hitting on her and all that stuff, I say, stay out of it. Don't say nothing. Let her handle it, right? Because when two men come together, that's when the trouble starts, right? As long as the women take care of it themselves, we don't have no problem. Sorry, I just wanted to throw that in there. I had to throw that in there real
Yeah,
quick.
I wish that most women would be able to do that.
Yeah, just do it. You know, not everybody can do it, but if they can work to get to that level to be able to do it, snap back real quick. Hey, dude, I'm not the one. If they do that, a lot of the problems we see in the community will crush, you know. So hats off
Professor.
to you for doing that.
Professor, so the question is, why do you feel that so many jiu-jitsu gym owners only focus on jiu-jitsu and don't raise their leadership lid, don't raise, and the reason I ask this question is because I've seen so many gyms, I've awarded over 28 black belts in my career, right? In my 28. Every single one of those black belts is better than me. Every single one of them, right? Most of those black belts are still with me, right? Because they're not with me for my jiu-jitsu prowess, right? They're with me for my leadership skills. Like they can learn from me. So they're with me for that. Like that's what my leadership is based on, how I can make them just a better person overall. Like that's why they're with me, right? Now, if I couldn't give them that, why would they be with me? They would just go to Alto. They would go to anywhere else, right? It's a better place, right? So for me, I knew that I had to constantly be evolving. And I think that's why we see a lot of gyms that at one point were big. And I always use like the Ken Shamrock, the Lions Den experience, right? At one point, they were the best MMA gym in the world. And then they started surpassing Ken. Nobody ever came in that was better than him. He was always the main guy. And then it just dissolved, right? So what do you think the reason is most jiu-jitsu gym owners don't raise their leadership lid, don't raise their EQ? Why do you think that is, that they only focus on the jiu-jitsu curriculum?
Okay, so I'm going to give another sort of villain's perspective, because I came into this game as a very toxic individual with a lot of pain, and like I was one of those people that I've always been naturally charismatic,
Sure, yeah.
and people have always flocked to me because I'm certain of myself, right? And people, I think, tend to flock to people that are certain of themselves. Now, when you're dominating all the time, there in a particular context, you'll have a certainty around that particular context, and people will flock to you in that particular context, and they may even take your advice outside of that context, right? When you experience that all the time and you're in a microcosm and you're not in worlds where you are not so certain of yourself, right? I start to develop a complex that what I have to say is more important, valuable than what you have to say. Right. And so you're lucky that I'm teaching you. And I carried all of this. The other part of this that was tricky for me is I was actually really good at the technical aspect of coaching. I was just a shitty human being.
I had a time out. I used to tell people when I first met Professor, I was like, holy shit, Professor's like, remember I was like, he's like, Saturday was best kept secret. Like, I was like, oh shit, because we had you when you first came back from Platinum, and before then you were coming, like, he's the best kept secret. They're like, people knew, but like not the general public knew. Then you went to fucking Victory and everybody found out about you. Then you got too expensive. It was just
So I had all those things going on, right? But it was, for me, it was a self-aggrandizing, like, kind of like a God complex type of deal, and I think that's happens when you get treated differently, because even as a fighter, and this, not, maybe not everybody feels like this, but back in the day is like we'd go someplace and we just feel like we own the place, we're above the rules, people treat us differently, and that was what I experienced, and it wasn't just me,
Sure.
you know?
Now with now 10x that with now you're with 15 fighters at this place, right? And that's all you're with everywhere you go.
And I'm looking, and I would bring my fighter friends around my sober friends, and I would watch the interact, and it was just so different, because those are my two different communities, and like, my sober friends, they're normal people, and they're like, they're like checking to make sure things are okay, and they're gingerly stepping through an environment, and the fighters just come in shoulders back, kind of like the fuck fight, take the lion's share of the food, and that sort of mentality. But then you get into a leadership role, and you don't understand what a leadership role is. So I thought leadership was, you're lucky I'm giving you this, you owe me. Right. I didn't realize leadership was a service position. And when you understand that it's a service position, then you'll do things to grow your ability to serve. If you don't see it as a service position, if you just see it as power and money, then you're only going to look at it in that context. Then you're going to think, oh, I just need power and money. You're not going to realize that service is actually what's going to create the bigger business model. But
That's amazing. I
yeah.
love that. Professor Zima, as a black belt, does rank protect women or just change how risk shows up?
Hmm. Does
Does your rank protect you? So obviously, professors with you, you guys train together, and I think we've kind of we know the answer to this, right? But I want to hear your perspective. Like, were you teaching a women's only class as well for a while? Yeah. So we'll talk about that in a second. But as a black belt, does a higher level belt on any woman protect them from being harassed, from being what's your experience? What do you feel about
I
that?
don't think the belt in itself is protection, right? It's um I really like to what you were saying, Mario, about checking people, right? And I think like what the belt to me kind of represents is just time on the mats, and also like me being of service now, right? Like so like um mm, I think along my journey leading up to the black belt, that's where I also experienced within myself an ability to, yeah, stand in for myself in like bigger ways, including being able to check people when they're maybe like acting out of line. Um, and I don't think it's a belt itself, but like where am I also willing to um look within myself where I still like kind of hold back, or where I used to let things slide, where I used to yeah, um stay small instead of stand up, because I gotta remember that other people are also watching, right? I have my students watching, I have people.
Somebody's always watching, right? Somebody's always watching.
Yeah, and I like my being, right? The way I embody the black belt is the thing that also kind of ripples and impacts the people around me, right? That's also how I give back, like how I'm being also influences the culture that I am also like a part of and contributing to.
Okay. This question is for both of you women. What behavior did you once tolerate that you would not tolerate now? I don't know that that's applicable to you guys, but what behavior did you once tolerate on the matter in the gym that you won't tolerate now?
I don't think anything's changed as what I tolerate. Yeah.
Just if they're ugly or not?
I mean, I think like when I remember when I was very first training, I was applying a choke, and I remember having this guy say, "I'll never tap to a woman." And now as you're a little bit higher belt, like at the time I didn't tap him, but I just remember feeling really frustrated. But now it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's like a running joke, like
Yeah,
right,
it's
like
fine.
yeah, that's a running joke, right? That's
Yeah.
funny.
So.
Um, what made you feel safest in a training? What makes you feel safest in a training environment? I think we kind of talked about it, but let me just one more time. What makes you feel safe with your training partner?
I think finding a balance between collaboration and competition, I think oftentimes that is missed, whether it's man or woman. I think it's important that balance is achieved because I lean too far into competition and, I'm on the mats and this person is trying to take my limb off when I'm coming into train and I have work that involves me using my entire body. I can't be showing out if I get broken leg, right? Like understanding that yes, we are, sometimes coming in sparring environments, it does require a fair bit of competition, but also caring enough about the other person to not like completely fuck them up, right? And then also like have the element of collaboration in that we are here with each other with, you know, we both have goals and let's support each other. Like I'm gonna bring my best, you bring your best, but let's walk out of here learning something, gaining something. And the other people are working too.
Professor, do the women at your gym know that they can say no to a training partner that wants to roll? How has that been? How do you lay that out? How is that structured at your gym, where people are not even just women? Let's just talk about like, because we're just not here to talk about women. We're going to talk about the culture in general. Um, how do you lay that out in your program where people know if it's a higher belt, they don't have to say yes to this person. They can like, because they're let's be real. We've all been training for a long time, and we know that there's kind of like that old school Brazilian mentality of a younger belt or lower belt not allowed to ask for a higher belt or to train with a higher belt. And if that is done, it's almost like a disrespect. And then you get your ass beat. I've seen that happen where like the lower belt was like from Switzerland, had no idea, just wanted to train with the black belt. And the black belt fucked him and it was not fucking cool. It was not fucking cool. And the dude's like, what did I do? And he's like, I was like, you didn't do anything, man. Like, so what's the protocol at your gym? How do they know that that's okay? Or have you laid that out? Is there something on the board?
Yes, so I actually laid it out exactly the way you told it because when I was coming up in the system, well, in the culture, so to speak, you couldn't turn down a higher belt, right? Um, and you also couldn't. It was funny because you couldn't go ask a higher higher belt to roll. So it was like a catch 22, and it was like kind of weird. So at my academy, if you're on the mat, then you can roll or you can decline a roll. It's completely up to you. And so one other thing that I do that's a little different, at my school, men cannot ask women to roll.
Oh, it's a great
So
policy.
a woman has to feel comfortable enough, been around you enough, and saw you enough to ask you to roll.
Wow, that's
And
great.
if she does that, then you could roll with her, right? So that's the way I do it. So men in my school can't ask women, but women can ask men, and that's just the way it is.
That's a great policy. That's a
know?
great policy
And that's the way we do
adhere
it.
to. That's a great policy.
Yeah.
That's a great policy. Now let's get into something a little bit more deeper. Why women don't come forward? All right, it's for everybody. Why don't more women report concerns or misconduct in jiu-jitsu, Professor?
I think Azim and I were talking about this earlier. I think there's a few different reasons.
Yeah.
One, I think like just bringing that attention to oneself is like, man, do I really want to go through that experience of being examined? I think there's like a collective sexual shadow where sex just doesn't get talked about and it's so shamed and it's so sort of put to the side, which is ironic because we're in this really primal environment of body contact. It's like it'd be weird if sex didn't come into the environment in some way, shape, or form, especially if you or there's attractive people or whatever, right? People that there's attraction is likely to come into that environment. As professional as you may want to keep it, right?
Especially it seems to be with jiu-jitsu people, because I remember one time when we started training at a Victory, jiu-jitsu guys, even the girls, like we'll change in front of each other. And then like the Muay Thai guys were going all crazy. Like other girls are like, blah, like we change in front of each other, like nothing because like you're our sister. We're like, oh, we gotta remember train. Like, or there's only one bathroom. And like that's I
Yeah,
exactly what you're
yeah.
saying.
So I'll leave room for, but I do want to touch on one thing. I think because any type of sexual unwanted advance is almost like irredeemable, right? If you become that guy, right, you're almost irredeemable. Okay. Now, let's say you've been training with the person and they're your coach,
Sure.
right? And you feel some type of thing. Now, you've held them in the context of coach and you like them and they've supported you in this way. And now they've done this, they're entering into this territory of have they also been irredeemable? Have they also done the act? Now, this person has this conflict inside of them. Now, this person who was this role model is now the person that by society standards should be buried under a prison and burned, right? Or approaching that territory, right? There's a lot of conflict in that. There's a lot of conflict for people that witness this and they don't want to like coming to the truth about what happened. Like all the people that are at Atos right now are probably really struggling because this guy was my hero. And if this is true, he has done the unforgivable act. Where do I put, how do I, that's not like a quick thing to work out within yourself when you've held that within. So I think that makes it really complicated. And I don't know that that leads to any solutions, more as just like understanding for how difficult this is, like for people to handle is like, because it's culturally, it's the unforgivable act.
I've spoken with a lot of people at Atos, and we have some former students there, and a lot of them have left, but there's some other ones specifically there because it's not that they don't want to believe it, but there are specific words where I'm waiting to see more evidence, right? And I think that's exactly what you're talking about. Like Andre was such a hero to them, and they've been there since they were kids, and that's something. And all I'm doing is listening and hearing them talk. Right? I'm not trying to give any advice. I'm not there, and I don't know what happened. I'm just hearing and seeing like what's online. But yeah, that's got to be a hard position for anybody to be in. For anybody to be in that doesn't know exactly what's happening, and just hearing this person, who do I trust more? Who do I worship more? Like all those things are going to be big facets, are a big aspect in what they're in their decision making. Mariah, you want to chime in? Why don't most women? So let me ask you this, Mariah. Right. So you are a brown belt. You've trained at our school, at another school right now. I'm going to make the assumption that you are a leader to other women there, right? So, and I think like Professor Rafa said, Professor Rafa has a group of women that other women can go to first before they come to you. I'm going to assume correctly. I think that that's kind of the role you're taking there, right? So, let's talk about this in the sense of, has anybody come to you with something like this? Hey, this guy's touching. I don't want to work with this guy. Like, how do you work that out if that's happened?
No one's come to me, thankfully. I have let it know, like, if you find a weirdo, tell me. Yes. So, but no one's come forward and told me that they were experiencing anything.
Okay, so let's go back to the previous question then, the original question. Why do you feel that most women don't come forward when things like this happen?
I feel like there's a few reasons. I feel like we've probably experienced something before in our life. We've not been believed because I know that not in jiu-jitsu community, but before jiu-jitsu, I've been told, well, I never had an issue with him. Well, I never saw anything. I never had any issues with him. And so you think that you're not going to be believed. Um, and sometimes you don't want to draw attention to yourself. You just really want to come in and train in peace and go home in peace and not stir the pot. So, I mean, I can't speak on them, but I just know in my past experience before I um, was brave enough to stand up for myself and have boundaries, because I had been told that before, like, well, I never had an issue with him. So you gaslight yourself into feeling like I shouldn't say anything.
Yeah. So as I was putting this together with like, like I said, I've been studying neuroscience. I kind of like fell in love with it. I went to a seminar or a conference on neuroscience, and I'm just like, I got so fucking hungry for it, right? And thirsty for it. So here's what I found: that when perceived danger outweighs perceived support, silence becomes the safest option, right? And I just want to go and train. I just want to train and get out, and hopefully that guy doesn't ask me to train with him, right? And just want to just go and train, right? And so I think it's up to us as instructors, as professors, as gym owners, as leaders in the gym to like make sure that people understand that there is support there, that there is, even if it's the head guy, right? Even if it's the main guy, even if it's the number one competitor of the team, that they need to know that there is support no matter what happens.
Can I touch on something Mariah said? Yeah, I think like, and to your point, like when these women are saying, well, I never had that interaction with him, I think a lot of times it's that same thing. It's like, I don't want to go there. Like, I don't want to have to mentally process whether this happened or not, because then I would have to take then something in. I would have to do something. If I found out that was true, then I would have to do something. And like you said, the perceived outcome. What do I perceive would be the outcome of me having to stand up? Right? Well, I might not perceive that that's going to end up very good for me, or that it's going to cost me some pain, or it's going to cost me something I'm not ready to pay. And so I think that's why a lot of women do that too, you know?
And then the impact is I'm on my own. I'm on my own. I gotta carry this on my own, and just kind of this will go to the grave for me or whatever.
Yeah.
You know. Um. Yeah. Just no like example of that conversation being held in a productive manner.
Professor, you've trained and taught all over the world with your wife. Are the dynamics different internationally, or are the patterns largely the same?
it's all human shit, bro. It's all human shit. It really is, dude. I don't think none of this is a jujitsu thing. I think jujitsu provides specific dynamics that sort of highlight it and enlarge the view of it. But I really don't believe it's anything more than human stuff. I think we have really poor male initiation into sex, manhood, and leadership, right? And when you have that around, then you're getting skilled at violence. So we have really poor initiation around power, sex, leadership. Then you're getting skilled at violence, right? Amidst all these different types of people, hobbyists, professional athletes, and they're all mixing together at different intensities. And there's no, or very few people that are skilled enough to guide people through the other aspects of this, or they're just not doing it in their personal life, right? I think if you want like someone like yourself who is doing the extra stuff to know how to handle this, right? To initiate people properly, right? That's the only way,
Yeah.
right? And then you'll have the kind of take, well, if you're just a jujitsu instructor, just teach jujitsu. And I think there's a merit to that too. That, like, sure, if you and also I think it's really important that we have initiation processes because it culturally it doesn't exist anymore, especially if you're white.
I don't think you're ever just like you might just want to be a jiu-jitsu instructor, but you're never just a jiu-jitsu instructor. Like you are never just a jiu-jitsu instructor. And I've heard people say, I only teach jiu-jitsu. Stop. Like I remember one time somebody asked me, why do you preach? I go, because I'm a pastor also. Like I'm not just a jiu-jitsu instructor. I'm also a pastor. I'm also a nonprofit founder. I'm also a public speaker. I also work with outreach. Like I do all these other things. I'm not just that. Because I know that when I show up to jiu-jitsu, you're gonna get guys that are dealing with trauma, guys that, especially my kids, bro. Like I'm the owner, but I'm the head kids instructor. Half my kids don't have dads, so guess who becomes their dad? Me. So I'm dealing with these things. So I'll get calls. You know, one of the best things I ever did was I got a call from one of the moms, and she said, "Hey, um, my daughter, it's Father's Day at school, and she wants you to call and be her dad for Father's Day." And when I at that time I was going through a lot, but when that happened, it really started to be on my journey. Like, holy shit, these kids are looking at me way more than just fucking professor. Like, and I'll never forget when I showed up to that school and she fucking ran to me, and then she's like, "This is my dad for today." Boy, I've never felt anything like that in my life. You know, where you're never just a jiu-jitsu instructor.
Yeah, and I think it's a fucking cop out to do that. I think it's because there's so many, I don't want to call them there's lazy human beings, right? Lazy human beings that don't take that part up. It's just like I can speak from my own experience. Like you've always been like an older brother to me. You know what I mean? Like somebody that's a big brother that, and I get that, and like that's why I have a relationship with you, and that's important to me. You know what I mean? It's like I wouldn't if you were just a jujitsu guy, I probably wouldn't have much relationship.
Yeah. Let's talk about when concerns surface, right? So this is a key leadership moment. When credible concerns arise, what should a gym do in the first 24, 48 hours? So not talking about what Athos did wrong, right? But what are some things that a gym should do within the first 24, 48 hours? So let me hit Professor Rafa. Professor Rafa, so let me hit you with just a what if. Somebody comes to you and says, hey, Professor, one of your coaches did this to me. You know, what are we doing in the first 24 hours?
Okay, so in the first 24 hours, what I do, the way I have my system set up, I will call a meeting immediately because I have a committee of people that are members that's made up of the members, and I set that committee in place to protect the school itself.
So let me just be clear. Professor is running his gym just like a corporate business.
It's like a HOA.
Yeah. You have a board of directors that wow, that's amazing, Professor. That's great. That's super. Okay, so continue, Professor. That's amazing.
So that's the first thing that I would do. So we would have to call that committee, and I set that committee up to protect all the students from me becoming a dictator, right? Because I am the head professor. I'm the owner. I own this school. but I need other people to help keep me in check. I'm a firm believer that absolute power absolutely corrupts. So to keep myself from being corrupt, I created a committee, and everything goes through the committee, right? And so we'll talk about it. We'll bring it to the table. And on that committee, we have men and women who also train there. And then we'll decide collectively the best course of action. Because if it's the wrong thing, me with my background and me with my trauma, I might handle it wrong. So to keep me from hurting one of my students or doing something crazy, because like if you're touching a woman in my gym, I want to put hands on you. I enjoy violence. I'm okay with it. I'm calm with it. Ex-military, right? To keep me from doing that in a public space, that's why this committee is in place. So that's the first thing I'm going to do in 24 hours. We're going to sit to this committee, and then we're going to decide how we handle this collectively. And what the majority says, that's how we go, and that's how we handle it.
Yeah, that's
So it's not solely in my lap.
you're saying that. I was like, why the fuck did I not have? I was like, whoa, why don't I have?
You know what I
that?
like about that too, bro, is
Yeah.
it gives ownership of the community
Yeah.
to the people on the committee, which ensures not just you are looking out for the environment itself, but that it's like you have extra set of eyes in there.
Always. And in fact, last night we had to talk about this, and some of the people, the members at the gym, they found out about this committee, and I'm like, yeah, it's not a secret committee. It's exclusive. So if you want on and you want to help us grow this all together, because this is our space, this is our community. Yeah, more than welcome.
Professor, do you mind if I ask you how you pick? Are you looking at character, belt? How does your brain work when you're gonna pick these people? Is it like a yearly thing, or how does that work for you?
Yeah. So what I do is I sit and I'll watch. I watch the people who are active in the community, the people who take care of each other, the people who look out for each other, who plan stuff, and I watch the parents. So I invite parents to be a part of it. And then most of the parents now that are invited to be part of it, they no longer just sit on the committee, they actually train. So that's good. They're all in the gis now, or no gi and stuff like that. So I watch those who like it. I can see that they're invested, like, those who are really, really invested with their children and stuff like that. The adults who come to class, who ask questions. And then we just say, hey, listen, we're having this committee meeting. And so we already have this board. We have our committee. And then we invite others who we think may be a good fit to come sit in on one of our meetings. And then if they come sit in on it, they like it, we invite them to chime in, and then we invite them to be a part of it. And then so we meet like every quarter, unless we need to meet, sooner.
Yeah.
Then we'll meet sooner, and then that's how you become a part of it. And so like this next board meeting, committee meeting, we're actually having on Super Bowl Sunday, which is at 3 p.m. There's a husband and a wife that's coming to that. This is their first time coming because they understood what we were doing. They want to come. And not only now, first they started off with their 3 to 6-year-old in a program, and now they both train.
Yeah.
And then they want to come. They want to help. They want to be a part of it. And it just keeps everything running smooth.
That's great.
I'm like mind blown right now.
So I'm gonna take this time to share a couple of things that I did incorrectly, and I am still and I already checked, the statute of limitations is passed, so I can talk about this, but I still internally, because of who I have grown to become, like I've always been a believer, I've always been a man of God, but so here's the story, and it's widely known. I had a former student who was no longer with me, but was teaching at another academy. But one of my students, who was a juvenile or adolescent, was still friends with this man's daughter. And there was abuse happening at this man's house. And so, and this is why I talk to parents all the time, if you have a kid that has a phone, you need to have access to the kid's phone. A third parent from another gym, because all these girls competed and trained with each other, sent me a text and said, Professor, I need to talk to you. I need to show you something. And I got these texts of these girls talking to each other about what happens when I go to your house. This is what your dad is doing to me, right? And so I'm looking at this, and so my story's out there. So this is not a secret that I used to be a bodyguard and kidnapper for people from across the border. And every time I did that, there was no emotion involved. There was never emotion. It was just a job. Somebody owed money. Somebody did something to one of our guys, whatever. I fucked up so many things in this scenario where I had initially called the person he was one of my best friends at the time. I called the father. I said, "Hey, I need to talk to you. You need to come to my gym right now." Because I'm not telling this over the phone. You need to come right now. He's like, "I have family from out of town. I can't." I go, "Please." I go, "You need to get over here right now." He goes, "I can't, man. I can't." And he wouldn't come. So I took it upon myself. I was just enraged because this is my girl, the girl that I teach every day. And this is somebody that I knew. No longer trained with me, taught at another place. I went to this man's place of business and beat him half to death in front of everybody. I dragged him out behind so I could beat up more in the parking lot. And they pulled me off, and I was just like enraged. I tried to pull him and get him into my car. They're like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I was like, and I realized for half a second that like, even if we did anything, there's so many witnesses. The owner of the building came out and was like, "What are you doing?" And I remember like it's a joke now with all the guys that were there, but I was like, "Bitch, you're next." Like I was like fucking just like like all I could see, I had rage. And then I asked him, I said, "Tell me the fuck," like I asked him, like, "Is this true?" And this were his exact words. "The steroids made me do it." And it was, you can just imagine if it's somebody that you love, right? A little girl that you're supposed to be able to protect. And they wouldn't let me take him. And I said, "You have 24 hours to turn yourself in or you're going to die." And he tried to turn himself in, but if there's no report, they didn't take him. And he ended up doing about 7 years. He recently got released. He's not allowed in San Diego. Everything my flesh says I did the right thing. Lawfully, I did it, right? I'm not trying to be that person anymore. I don't know that we ever fully heal from who we used to be, or like that scares me because that guy comes out every once in a while, right? It takes a lot longer for that guy to come out, but sometimes that scares me. Do you ever you get scared?
I reserve space for I keep them around in case I need them.
Yeah.
No.
That was, you know what? I almost wanted to cry because just looking at you, because you know what I'm talking about, and it's like most people in here will not know what we're talking about. I think that's another reason we were like, and but I did everything wrong that day. Everything wrong. I did everything wrong as a man, as a leader, because my boys are right here. Like if I ended up doing what I used to do, now my boys don't have their dad, and I think for me, just to answer that question, the first man I still can't get over the fact that I'm aboard of the fractures. Like that's amazing. That would have stopped that. I think, right? They would have.
The board would have been like, "Hey, bro."
They would have taken my gun from me. Like, "Okay, you're not going there. Give me your keys." But
Yeah.
that's
Handle this differently.
a little different. Yeah, In moments of threat, the brain looks for decisive leadership. Delay increases harm, and clear action restores safety. I think we have to. I love the fact that you have that because I had nothing in place. Right, we have nothing in place, and I think the one thing that we're not supposed to, the one thing that we shouldn't do is try to hide the fact that happened. Right, like not live off of emotion, but get the facts. I mean, that should be a clear. Every gym, if nobody gets anything from this, every gym owner get a board that helps you on that. We're not going to talk about the segments, but we're going to just jump into what women should expect. This is for everybody. If a woman is choosing a gym today, if she's choosing the gym today, what should she expect, not just hope for? Let's go down the Google compressor all the way down. If a woman is choosing a gym today, what should she expect and not just hope for? In the sense of a gym that she's looking for that's going to be safe. Like, what are some of the things that she needs to be looking for?
Yeah, so I would invite anybody, right, to know themselves and what they're looking for, right? I think, and so a lot of this will go back to because there's two things here, right? There's one, sometimes people don't know what they're looking for, and then we hope that leadership can maybe hold up a mirror and show them that. But if you're listening to this, right, because that's all we can do. We can hope to affect people. Like take stock of yourself, right? Ask, have conversations like, what do I actually need from a training environment beyond the martial arts? What am I looking to get? What are my weaknesses, right? Am I going to get support with those things? Am I like maybe if I don't feel comfortable enough to bring those things up with the person that I'm having the interview with, and like, yeah, I have these things going on. If you know you're a person that has some vulnerabilities, um, and maybe it's a big ask, but I think it's like, man, this isn't put responsibility on victims, but you empower yourself to not be a victim when you take responsibility, right? So this isn't what you should have done, right? This is what I could do knowing this is out there moving forward. I just want to be clear about that, right? It's like the more you empower yourself, the more you know yourself, and you can have those conversations and take responsibility for, yeah, I know I'm coming in with this,
Yeah.
right? And you don't, if you like what you're getting back around what kind of support you can receive around that, what kind of nurture you can receive around that, then I think then that's probably a go, you know? And if you don't like the vibes of that when you bring up, because you're not, it's not just fucking jujitsu. And if you make it just jujitsu, that's so lazy and so inaccurate to what it becomes, because it's like, man, the two ends of the human spectrum that we talk about the least are sex and violence, right? And you're going to be dealing with both in that environment by proxy of just the way humans are.
Before we continue with Professor Zima, I want to be clear as well. So I have asked two women, females, to leave the gym because so when I first started in jiu-jitsu, I started end of 1995, 1996, right? There was this term, a Maria Tatami, right? A Maria Tatami was a girl, and you still see it in gyms today. Girls that show up that just want to fuck the black belt, like they are actively like, this is the group of girls, and it's in just about you've seen it, especially in the higher competition gyms. These girls that are just there because they want to hook up with the higher black belts, right? And since we're pretty good at my school because we don't do competition, we're self-defense based, like mostly military law enforcement. So most of those girls don't come, but I have had to ask two women to leave because I'm like, you're not fucking here to learn jujitsu. You're here to fucking like, you're here to fucking cause drama, and you're here to like just hook up with dudes and like you're 150 at whatever they were paying at the time. Like I don't need that shit. Like I was able to know like, jiu-jitsu is for everybody, but it's not. Like people don't seem to understand. Like when you get that 7-day trial with me, I'm vetting you, motherfucker. Like I'm seeing if you're a fit for me. It's not the other way around. And some people I've told, like, you know what? You want to go up the street. Like this is not the place for you because a little cancer. Yeah. Azima, Professor.
Was that a question?
The question: if a woman is choosing a gym today, what should she expect, not just hope for?
Uh, expect. I wouldn't say it's an expectation. I'd say, kind of be discerning of the environment, right? Like, um, whether people around like actually value the relationship that they're creating over the money that you're gonna be giving them. And also, yeah, the quality of the leadership, right? Are these leaders, the leaders within the school willing to have difficult conversations, or do they have the ability to resolve conflict as it comes as opposed to sweep things under the rug, you know? From, as far as women's perspective around, things around sexual harassment and sexual abuse, are even, the men and the women, are they comfortable with having conversations around sexuality, around all that, right? That's why I think it's really, really important that um, people are a lot more vocal around topics like that instead of beating around the bush around all of that, because there's one layer of like, yes, um, empowering women, welcoming all women, but then when it comes to like maybe women who are a little bit more open in their sexual expression, like I personally would love to have, you know, sex workers, underserved, former sex workers also participate in jiu-jitsu, but they can't be kicked out or exiled because of the choices that they were make as well. So
We
yeah.
actually have a program for sex workers at our school. We do. We'll talk about that in a second. Yeah. Mariah is a brown belt. Mariah, if a woman is choosing a gym today, what should she expect and not just hope for? And let's use this opportunity to talk about the women's group that you run.
I really liked what you were saying about like community. It's not a dictatorship. It's the communal effort for safety. And I feel like if you're checking out a new gym, that would be one of the things to look for. Is do you have an open line of communication to higher belts to express something that may be a concern of yours? And also, is there this dictatorship, or is there a sense of community where you can talk to various people? So,
Talk about the life group that you run.
the last Sunday of every month, I run a small women's life group at your gym, and we just our gym just talk about life and things, and very candid and very open, and it's very open to sex workers and for former and current, doesn't matter. Yeah, we're just there to talk about life and
And you don't even have to be in jiu-jitsu, right? That's something that we do apart from, like, if you want to do jiu-jitsu, that's fine, but that's not, has nothing. I think maybe only half the girls actually train jiu-jitsu. The rest are just there for the community. And Azima, are you still running your life group? Let's talk about that.
I've been running for this will be the 4th year now of a women's circle. It's called Things Your Mama Don't Want You Talking About. So we talk about all the things that we've been told not to talk about. And yeah, like efforts like that really I really love what you said too, Rafa, of kind of centering community, right? That it's not this hierarchical thing because everyone's voice does matter. Everyone does offer, has wisdom, has, experiences, has strength that they're able to share with one another. Like one person, like just because I lead the women's program doesn't mean I have all the answers, right? Like what someone else might have.
Yeah. And even if so I lead a men's life group, and I tell these guys, I'm not the leader, I facilitate, but like, even if we don't have the answer together, like, shit, we're going through it together. Like, that's there. When you know that you're not alone, that's like the enemy. So I'm a believer in Christ, but I have a firm belief that the enemy wants, when you isolate yourself, that's when problems expounds, right? And so sometimes men, we're just talking about men, we love to isolate. We isolate.
That's how this shit happens,
Yeah.
bro. Shame breeds in secrecy, my man.
Yes. And man, we can even just get guys together. I think we're gonna do that next, and we'll have a guys thing on that. But when you know that there's a group, whether it's for females or for males, right, and it's apart from jiu-jitsu, but just like everybody's going through something. Like mine is a faith based, but I had a Muslim guy who was like, I don't believe in Jesus the way you do, right? And so I go, you got a wife? He's like, yeah. I go, you got problems then, right? I go, you got financial issues? He goes, yeah. And he's like, I go, you got kids? I go, bro, you need the group. So the dude showed up, right? And it was like, and it wasn't, we're not proselytizing. We're just like showing up, and it's just like 20 dudes and like, who fought with the right this morning? Everybody's hands go up. Okay, well, this is like, let's talk about that, right? It's not about anything other than just having community, right? And I got 2 atheists that show up to the group, and I'm like, all right. But again, it's what? It's just community, right? When you know you're not alone, because like, I remember when I was going through my addiction and feeling like the worst pain you could ever feel is like, nobody fucking understands me, right? And then I'm gonna go do more coke because nobody understands me, and then you just go down that.
Well, I'm hiding from everybody, saying nobody understands me, right?
And that's a dangerous place to be. That's a dangerous place to be. Azima, share when your group.
Oh, that happens every first Sunday of the month at Nalu Healing Arts. That's out in Morena, and it's free. It's free for everybody.
The last Sunday of every month. Yeah. It's Jiu-Jitsu Association, 8 a.m. I've been to hers. It's an amazing.
Oh, good,
Yeah,
good,
it's so
good,
good. It's so
Professor, you
good.
were going to say something?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was just clearing my throat, but I'll answer the question if it's my time.
If a woman is choosing a gym today, what should she expect and not just hope for?
So C&C, comfort and community, right? Any woman that goes to a gym, it's like women have intuition. Like we say it all the time. So if a woman goes to a gym and something feels off, then there's a chance that something is off. So that's why I have a group of women to welcome all women that's coming in. So it's like anything, if they get comfortable together, and then they could tell them, like those women, I don't need to talk to this woman about myself or who I am, Professor Raphael, world champion. I don't need to do all that, right? The women that train with me who are comfortable with me and understand and know who their professor is, they'll tell them everything about me. I don't even have to be there. I had a woman walking by one day. My academy is a pizza place right next to it. And I invited her in.
Yeah.
I said, hey, you should come try it out. We got this January thing going on. And she's like, I'm getting ready to go to the police academy and all that stuff. And she said, tell me this, tell me that. I said, you know what? I said, why don't you do this? I said, come back Monday. I said, a lot of the women here, I said, I'll tell you all about the program. Well, she came back Monday and I left. I went to Texas. I didn't meet her for like 2 weeks. But when I came back, she was at the academy. I was gone for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
right? And so it's like that. And I've figured that out, right, over time. Same way with a guy. It doesn't matter. Like, if I don't have this sweater on, I got tattoos,
Yeah.
right? A guy walk up to the gym and he's looking at it, and I have tats, he have tats. We connect right away. I just offer the tats. Hey, what's up? How you doing, man? Come on in, because it makes people feel comfortable.
Yes.
And with women, I think that's even more important. It's important that women feel comfortable right away because, for one, she don't need me as a professor, being the male there, telling her what I'm going to do for her, telling her how she's going to feel. Oh, you going to do? No, she needs to hear that from another woman that's going to tell her what kind of guys are going to be here, who you're dealing with. And I don't have a problem with it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Did we go? Everybody ask that question? I see.
Can I add
Yes, yes,
one
one
more
more.
C?
Yes,
It's
one more C.
co-regulation, and that happens with community, right? Oftentimes, you talk about like nervous system regulation and self-regulation, but a lot of people coming into jiu-jitsu, let's say the first time, wanting to gain new skills and be able to stand up for themselves, defend themselves, like they don't know what it's like to self-regulate. Right. So when we have community, we have the ability to co-regulate. You just see another person go through difficult like challenges, go through hard stuff, like be able to push through under pressure, and you're like, man, that could be me too one day. And I think that's the beauty of like community and bringing people together.
For women listening right now, what are 3 red flags to trust immediately? Whether they're at the gym or going to go start a gym. What are 3 red flags?
Female leadership.
Oh, really?
Female leadership, yeah.
What else? Expound on that, please. Unpack that for me.
That they're like visible women.
Oh, that's
like,
visible.
yeah,
Okay.
like
So let's do this. So I got 3 red flags and then 3 green flags. So so give me 3 red flags.
I heard green. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're one of those other brain guy. Yeah, yeah. Okay. 3 red flags or a couple red flags. Let's just open just to anybody. What are 3 red flags that a woman walks in, this happens, wrong place?
I think if you hardly see any females at all,
That's good.
True.
Yeah.
You walk into a gym and there really aren't any women, it's why?
There's a reason why. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else, Professor? You got something? So you take your daughter. Your daughter's like, Dad, I came to this place. What's one thing that you're like, you got to go? That's not the place for you. The one thing, regardless of world champion, regardless of this, what's the one thing?
So my thing is, if you're asking questions,
Yeah.
and instead of answering the question that's asked, you give them an answer that you want to give. Like, I'm big on communication and I'm big on community. So if I ask you a direct question, I expect a direct answer. If you can't answer me directly, to me, that's a red flag.
Okay.
You know, my daughters, I've taught them that. Like, listen, you talk to people, you speak straight words
Yeah.
when you talk to people. If they don't answer you back in straight words, then you move around.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's one big thing. So the thing with me is communication. So if you're asking a school one thing or this and that, and if they can't answer it, then they do it. One that used to be a big problem is if you just go in somewhere and say, well, how much is it going to cost me a monthly?
Yeah.
And then they start telling you all the stuff that you get
Instead of the answer.
without answering the question. To me, that's a red flag. I didn't ask you about, all your amenities and stuff you got. I just want a simple answer. Like, what is it going to cost monthly? Let me process that and then tell me what I'm going to get for that price. That's the sales thing. I don't like the bait and switch. It's simple. Come to me. It's $150 a month. And here's what you get for that.
Yeah.
Is there a discount? Yeah. Here's this how you get the discount. I talk straight, and if you're not speaking straight, then we
Because
can't.
if you're
really
not going to
talk.
get straight answers in person, you're not getting them on the mat.
You're not going to get them on the mat, and then there's going to be this, and then there's going to be this, and then there's going to be this, and it's just communication, man. If people are not talking right, that's a red flag. That covers everything with me.
Big word.
Yeah.
Big word. Coach Mariah, what's a big red flag for you? Let's say you're starting all over again. You get there, something you see. Is it something you see, something you hear? Yeah, I know you said the women, but
Yeah, I think going back to what you said, I
you
think
can't
if
use
I
that
were,
one. You got to use something else.
if I was brand new, starting all over again, and I were to sign up at a gym for the very first time, and I would ask, what is your policy on handling misconduct? I would find that out. And again, I would look for a straight answer.
Straight answer. Got to have it.
Yes. If they're beating her, well, yeah. So anyway, yeah.
I'll bet you most gyms don't have a straight answer.
They don't have a straight answer for that.
Yeah.
They don't.
And that's the issue. And that's why I'm 100% transparent. That's why I have a board. Everything we do is across the board is 100% transparent. Even when we get in trouble, like, students bail or for whatever reason, this, and things are a little tight, I'll let them know. Like, hey, this is what we're going on. Can everyone invite some friends? We need some more students to join the academy. I keep everything across the board with everybody, and so that's just kind of how we run it.
Professor, did you answer this question already?
No, but what came to mind is like kind of instructors that are either like nonchalant or like is nonchalant the right word? But
That's a word.
is that the right word for it though? but like kind of like
Nonchalant,
not
yeah.
really caring.
Yeah.
Just not
like,
engaged.
Brushing you
they're
off, not engaged.
or
On the phone, bro.
on the phone, or like, for example, maybe even like showing up on the mat smelling like alcohol. You know, that's huge red flag for me. You know, yeah, and should not be enabled as well.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, and like I think a good thing for any new person is like, what is the like system for like integrating us into the flow of things, you know? Because man, a lot of gyms, it's like you show up and like even if there's a beginner's class, you can it's so easy to get lost, right? And not be integrated, like having a system to integrate the person into the flow of things, I mean, is really important.
We have like ambassadors, like so like if you're if you're a new white belt, you get a blue belt attached to you the whole time for 2 weeks. Yeah. It's like and that blue belt. So I have a process like purple belt's your leadership belt. Like when you're a purple belt at my gym, that's a leadership belt automatically. So you're learning. I'm teaching leadership skills, but as a blue belt, the first entry in leadership, it's like, oh, white belt comes in, yours, buddy. So my rule at the gym is your job when you come into the gym is to be the best training partner you can be. So we kind of adhered to that earlier. Like, what are you working on? How can I help you get better? Right. And that's a great one. Like, how do I get better? Like, oh, come to this. You know what's crazy is like, you get some gyms that just have, because they're not as big or whatever, they just have like all level classes and just maybe one instructor. And I had a guy who came from another gym who's like, and the guy's fairly old, he's like 51 years old. He's like 6'1", but he's like maybe 290 and not in shape, but he's just like, you could tell he played football in high school, big dude. He's like, the first day, the guy threw me. Did he show you how to break falls? He didn't show me anything. He threw me on the first day. He's like, I landed on my head, and now I'm here at my gym. Like, I was like, what? Like, yeah, that's those are all good ones. So what about one green flag? What's one green flag? What's one thing that stands out? Like, oh, this is going to be a good gym. This is going to be a safe place, a good place for me to learn. Let's start all the way down.
The welcoming committee, so to speak.
Yeah.
When you got the students and the parents, you know, or the spectators that's in the gym that haven't maybe started training yet, when they come up to you and start talking, you know, and they don't even train, oh, this is such a great place. You know, it happens a lot with my kids. Their parents will talk to new parents who are bringing their children by to try it out. And the parents will just be going on and on about like, you know, oh man, it's such a great place. My daughter did this, she did that. You know, I used to have this problem. You know, I've even heard, you know, she doesn't talk back anymore because, you know, I throw all those little things in on the mat when I'm teaching the children, you know, especially the competition team, because, you know, kids, you know, they grow and they have their own personalities and stuff like that. And I tell them all the time that, you know, hey, I love you guys to death. You know, professor, I'll be there for you. I'll come to your school. I'll do everything. You know, I'll be there for you. But despite all that, no one loves you and cares more about you than your parents. You know, when you walk out when you walk out that front door in the morning, you're into the world. That's completely different. And that registers with all of my children and they get it. And the parents love me for it. When I say they love me for it, they love me for it. They're like, oh, professor, you have no idea. Like, yeah, because they know that they feel it on the mat with me, that I care about them and I love them. And then I take the back seat and say, hey, listen, everything you feel from me on this mat, your parents love you way more than I do. And kids pick that up. You know, I've noticed that over the years.
Raya, what's one green flag for you? Something happens, you're like, this is the place.
How welcome you feel.
How welcome you feel.
Oh,
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the community, also visible like leadership. I know that it's not, you know, place outside of like San Diego, it can be hard to find a female leadership, but just like, yeah, visible leadership and actual like people who will, you know, will stand for you and the community that surrounds you.
Professor?
It's do I feel invested in, right? If you feel invested in early on, that's probably a pretty good
Like
sign.
if the professor's invested in you. Yeah, that's good.
Or somebody is, right? Even if it's like, because look, I'm not the best with like coaching beginners. I know that about myself. So I have my upper belts tend to the beginners right away. Yeah. And because I know that about myself. It's like also know that you're not capable of everything as an instructor. Like I know what my strengths and weaknesses are. I can do like, I could teach a kids class if I had to. I'd rather I'd rather do a lot of more horrible things to myself than teach a kids class. You know, and
Oh, you want to learn patience? Teach a
yeah,
kid
so
class.
I know that about myself, you know.
Guys, real quick, we are just about to end, but look straight ahead. So, Professor Rafa, real quick, just introduce yourself and just give me multiple-time world champion, what you do, and the gym that you own. Go.
Okay. Professor Rafaela Davis, aka the Black Belt Mortgage Pro. That's my side job. I do mortgage loans and whatnot. I'm the owner of Carlson Gracie Team San Diego, multiple time world champion. I created a jiu-jitsu system for myself that I tested on myself. I went from white belt to brown belt 2 years, 8 months, was offered a black belt 3 years, 8 months, turned it down because my first professor moved back to Brazil. So I ended up getting my black belt at 5 years. And on top of that, I'm disabled.
Yeah. And you have a book coming out.
Yeah, I got a book coming out called The Primary System. So when you see that, pick it up. That's how I taught myself. That's how I teach the people that are with me. And I've, taught some world champions and some other peoples. I've been training jiu-jitsu for 15 years. I started April 9th, 2010. It's been a wonderful journey.
Mariah.
Can't top that.
Hold on, we're not supposed to. We're not supposed to stop anything. We're just...
My name is Mariah. I'm a jiu-jitsu brown belt.
No, but do me a favor. Share a little bit about why you started jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, so I'm currently a hairstylist, but 16, 17 years ago, I was a street prostitute, stripper, escort, professional dominatrix. And so, yeah, now living a quiet life.
He can't top that, baby.
I lose.
You gotta step up the resume, Raphael.
Right? Gotta step my game up.
Yes, I am Zima. I am a black belt under Professor Eric, and I currently co-lead the women's jiu-jitsu program out in Victory MMA. Outside of that, I'm also a movement coach and also a somatic coach, supporting women in, moving past processing sexual trauma. I'm also a hands-on, hands-in integrative pelvic care body worker as well. So I support a lot of bodies.
What's up, guys? My name is Eric Uresk. I am a BJJ black belt. I was a professional MMA fighter for 10 years. I also coached MMA at the highest level all over the world. I currently just train for fun, even though you guys, I might fucking want to open up a gym after this conversation. But my current profession is I coach relationships and emotional intelligence, and I help a lot of people somatically work through stored pain and trauma.
Make sure you check out our podcast with Professor. I think it's episode 3, but it's a great podcast on relationships, so make sure you check that out. And my name is Elias Gallegos. I've been training jiu-jitsu for 30 years. I've been a black belt for 21 years. I've had about 5,000 students come through my mats. I have my own organization, my own association. I'm also a nonprofit founder. I'm also a pastor and a public speaker and a leadership expert. And the reason I had everybody go through their real quick little bios is simply this. People are going to ask what allows us to come to the table, and it's not for anything other than just to give the credibility of who we are and that we have had the experience. We shouldn't have to do that because, but it is what it is, and I have my reasons why, but I wanted people to know there was a specific reason each and every one of you are here today to talk about this. Jiu-Jitsu teaches us to tap before things break. Culture should be no different. Science doesn't protect the art. Accountability does. And safety doesn't weaken jiu-jitsu. It strengthens it. I hope you get a lot of information from this podcast, and I hope you share it. If it affected you, please contact and reach out to each and everyone here if you feel they can help you. Thank you guys for following us and watching us. Have a great day. God bless you.